What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today is all about collectors. These are the people who have sent in their tattoos to be critiqued, and we're gonna do just that. So, let's get it. What's up, guys? Big news, I've finally got some merch. I've got this design and many others on a bunch of cool items. We've got hoodies, we've got bomber jackets, we've got socks, you name it, I've got it. And what's even cooler is I got my friend Sabrina's help, who is actually a director over at Disney Animation. That's why they look so dope. I'm super lucky to have her help, and I hope you guys are just as excited as I am. So use the link below and go stock up on a bunch of cool shit. Thanks again, Sabrina, for all the help, and thank you guys for all the support. Once again, welcome back. Don't forget to subscribe while you're here if you like tattoo-related content. But let's get to the first submission. And this one is sent in by Maggie K with this Mythological sleeve. I do think this sleeve is absolutely beautiful, especially with a lot of the colors that the artist chose in this piece. But the one thing I worry about is how this thing is going to age after a few years, because there's not really any heavy contrast or solid blacks for that matter. Looking at the clouds behind Athena and Hera, I just worry that those are going to muddle together in the future and almost look like cotton candy. There's just not really a whole lot of contrast or solid structure like there is on the inside of the arm with Hermes. And it being on the outside of the arm, it's definitely more prone to bleaching from the sun, so I wish there was a bit more contrast or even some extra structure like there is on the inner arm. But again, I really do love these faces, especially the way that the artist shaded in Hera's face with this pepper shading technique, as well as Hermes. They're just super clean, compared to Athena anyway, who just looks like a strong, independent woman. There's nothing wrong with that, I'm just saying. But there is a whole lot of really nice detail on this tattoo, even in the shield of Athena, which unfortunately isn't really going to be seen a whole lot. But it's nice that the artist put it in there anyway. I'm just really impressed with the faces in Hera and Hermes, especially Hermes' face being so small. The artist just nailed it, in comparison to Athena anyway. Solid tattoo overall. I just wish there was a little more contrast in the background. And if you want to see somebody who does it exceptionally well, you can check out my friend Deanna James on Instagram, who goes by Deanna_art. She's almost a pioneer in this style. The next one sent in is from Alan Lee. And Alan, you sent over this beautiful looking, we'll call it partial leg sleeve, because it doesn't look like it wraps all the way around. Regardless, this thing is gorgeous, and it does look like there is room to add on later. It's not just cut off with a solid chunk of color, which I hate so much. Having these organic shapes just leaves it open to add something on the inside if they wanted to later. And I know that's something a lot of artists struggle with. I think the most impressive thing about this tattoo, aside from the application, is the composition. This thing just rides the leg so well. Just the way this, I don't know what this part is, but whatever it is, the way it comes from the back of the leg to underneath the knee just give this tattoo a really nice movement and flow. Speaking of flow, I think those little fish are adorable, and it also gives this tattoo a sense of scale. Like, this face is pretty huge in comparison, as it should be. There's also some really nice features on this tattoo, like that little tentacle at the bottom and the blue that's on top of the skull that's coming down from the top part, which gives this tattoo a really good contrast. The blue and the orange work so well with each other. And also the fish scales on the lady's face just match with the fish. This thing's got it all. The only thing, if I'm being extremely nitpicky, is I would love to see a 3-round liner or some sort of thin outline around that bottom fish, just to lift it off from that tentacle. It's one of those things that you wouldn't really see, but it would be felt. But again, just being extremely nitpicky, because this thing is rad. Congratulations on the sweet tattoo, Alan. This thing is sick. Let's check out who's next. All right, I just had to throw this one in here from Justin Dowse. There's not a whole lot to say about it. I just thought it was pretty fucking hilarious. Pun intended on the fucking. If you're interested in seeing the uncensored version, check out the link below. Again, not much to say about these. I just wonder if these are edible gummies, because they are made for adults. Either way, fun stuff, Justin. Thanks for making me laugh. Let's get on to the next one. All right, real quick, I want to take a break and give a shout out to the sponsor of our channel, Mad Rabbit. Mad Rabbit is a tattoo aftercare company that has something for everyone. Whether you're a new tattooer or a longtime veteran, they've got you covered. So head on over to madrabbit.com and check out all they have to offer. And be sure to use code PONY20 to save 20% off your entire order. All right, let's get back to it. Next one sent in by John Trapp, and John, oh boy, this is a train wreck. Yeah, this one's a little rough. I don't even know where I'd start with this one. I think Bob Ross would be pissed, because these look like very angry trees. I don't know, the mountains in the background on the left-hand side just don't really look like mountains. I'm surprised that I could tell what they are. The mountains on the right, you can tell the artist kind of went way outside the lines. The white is doing this tattoo no justice whatsoever. I've honestly seen better tattoos come out of prison. And they're working with a toothbrush and guitar string, so come on. I think the grass at the bottom is hilarious, how it almost looks like a kid's drawing. None of these lines are straight. It's just a mess. It really makes me wonder if the artist even used a stencil. I'm sorry to keep chugging along on this thing. I'm just getting steamed looking at it. I'm just trying to find anything redeemable about this tattoo. It's just, I don't think it's there. I mean, I guess it's a good thing it's on your leg. At least you can cover it with a pair of pants. I don't want to get off the rails on this thing. Thank you so much for sending that over, John. And I'm sorry. Up next is one sent in from Braxton Jones with this cute little, I feel like I've seen this thing from somewhere. Not sure where. It almost looks like a Cinderella mouse. Either way, this thing's pretty cool. It's pretty cute. There are a few saturation issues here and there, like up in the red hat, in the brown tone of the mouse's face, and there are a few little squiggly lines. Nothing horrible overall. The cover up on the bottom is rather strange. I'm hoping the artist adds some kind of background or does something to get rid of that old looking buff demon. I would like to see more solid reds in the end of the cigarette, since it is a lit cigarette after all, rather than the brown that's there. Well, that does look like a chicken leg at the bottom left rather than a mouse's leg. I probably would have moved those toes out a little bit to the left, but not that big of a deal. It's just one of those things, once you see it, you can't not see it. I know I said there was a couple squiggly lines here and there, but the lines around the coat are super crisp. The blue is also very well saturated, so this tattoo does have a lot of good parts to it. It's just the little saturation issues in the browns and reds that get me. But overall, really not a bad tattoo. I like it. Thanks, Braxton, for sending that over. Next up is Haillie Williams, and Haillie, you did send over we'll call it a diatribe of your experience. You said you gave the artist a very detailed drawing, and you heard a lot of really good reviews and put a lot of trust into the shop itself. But my question is, did you actually look at the artist portfolio? Because this tattoo is on your neck after all. And that would be my number one thing. If I'm getting my neck or face tattooed, I'm definitely checking out the actual artist portfolio to make sure they can handle it. You mentioned he had to freehand some parts of the tattoo, which if it's a great artist, that's not much to worry about, which again goes back to portfolios. You also mentioned that you had to tell the artist to finish some line work. That's never a good thing when you have to tell the artist what to do. And last but not least, he wrapped the bandage with painter's tape. I know there's a lot to unpack here, but I feel like that all had to be stated for why you ended up with what you did. You are aware that this thing needs covered up or fixed, which, good luck to you. Please make sure you go to an artist who actually knows what they're doing, because this thing is rough. And to be honest, these don't really look like Grim Reapers, they look like... And it definitely doesn't follow the original drawing at all. I'm not saying the original drawing is great either, but it definitely looks a lot better than this tattoo. I don't recommend it, but you might have been better off tattooing yourself. I am sorry this happened to you, but like I've said over and over and over again, you have to check out artist portfolios. You can't just rely on things you heard about tattoo shops. This is a very visible spot on your body. I personally would have found an artist whose work I absolutely love, or somebody who's experienced with neck tattoos, because this artist clearly is not. I'd love to see if you started a cover up on this already, and if you haven't, shoot me a message because I'd like to point you in the right direction. But thank you for sharing your story with us, Haillie. I know it's not easy to put yourself out there. Alright, now that we've seen all the tattoos, you know how this goes, I gotta pick my favorite of the week. And this week's favorite was sent in by Alan Lee, with this fish, woman, underwater leg sleeve. This thing has all the right elements, and most importantly, great composition. Tattoos aren't just about being applied well, but the way they form fit the body, and this one does it so well. The color contrast in this tattoo is absolutely amazing, so congratulations once again, Alan, for being my favorite this week. Now that the collector submissions are out of the way, let's talk about the featured artist of the week, somebody who I think you should all be following. And this week's artist is Dominic, who goes by Doom_Tattoo out of Montreal, Canada. Dominic does mainly illustrative tattoos with absolutely phenomenal foundational skills. And you can see that by looking at every single one of his photos on Instagram. His color saturation is punched in. His lines are super crisp, and no matter what he does, he seems to add a lot of action to his tattoos, which is super cool. Even something like this hand and eye tattoo that we've seen hundreds of times, he seems to take to the next level. I just love how none of his tattoos seem stiff. All of them seem to have this crazy flow or movement to them. It seems like he can take the most ordinary subject matter and turn it into something wild, which I find super impressive. So do yourself a favor, head on over to his Instagram, give him a follow, and let him know I sent you. Alright, well that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe while you're here, and as always, I will see you guys next week.